Hello students, this is your economics teacher INR. I hope you are well and utilizing the time wisely. In the previous class, you learned about the meaning of economics, nature of economics and the definitions of economics. Today, you are going to learn about scope of economics and basic concept in economics. Please watch this video very carefully till the end. I am going to ask you a few questions from previous class. Question number 1. What is mean by economics? Question number 2. What are the definitions of economics? Question number 3. Who is the father of economics? Okay, answer for the question. Question number 1. What is mean by economics? The term or word economics comes from the ancient Greek oikonomikos. Oikos means household and nomos means managements, customs or law. Thus, the term economics means management of household. The subject was earlier known as political economy, is renamed as economics in the late 19th century by Alfred Marshall. Question number 2. What are the definitions of economics? There are 4 definitions of economics. First, Adam Smith wealth definition representing the classical era. Second, Marshall's welfare definition representing the neoclassical era. Third, Lionel Robbins' scarcity definition representing the new age, and Paul Samuelson growth definition representing the modern age. Question number 3. Who is the father of economics? Adam Smith. Fine. Let us enter into the topics. First, we will discuss scope of economics. The scope of the subject of economics refers to on the subject matter of economics. It throws light on whether it is an art or a science, and if science, whether it is a positive science or a normative science. All these points will be discussed later. Next topic, economics, its subject matter. See the circle of economics. Economics focus on the behavior and interaction among economic agents, individuals and the groups belonging to an economic system. It deals with the activities such as the consumption and the production of goods and services and the distribution of income among the factors of production. What is meant by factors of production? There are 4 factors of production in our economics. One is land, labor, capital and organization. Fine. The activities of the rational human being in the ordinary business of life under the existing social, legal and institutional arrangements are included in the science of economics. The abnormal person or extraordinary person, the socially unacceptable and unethical activities are excluded. Second, economics studies the ways in which people use the available resources to satisfy their multiplicity of wants. Scarcity is a problem indicating the gap between what people want and what they are able to get. This scarcity or deficiency can be eliminated either by limiting the human wants or by increasing the supply of goods that satisfy the human wants. The method of getting more is restored to rather than the method of wanting less. Next, economics is concerned with the activities of human being only. Human beings are related to one another and the action of one another affect those of the other members in the society. Hence, economics is called as human science or social science. Next, the activities of rational or normal human being are the subject matter of economics. All human activities related to wealth constitute the subject matter of economics. Thus, human activities not related to wealth or non-economic activities are not treated in economics. For example, playing a cricket for pleasure, mother-child care. Next topic, economics is an art and a science. First, economics as an art. Art is the practical applications of knowledge for achieving particular goals. Economics provides a guidelines to the solution to all economic problems. A.C. Bigu, Alfred Marshall, and others regard economics as an art. Economics as a science. We no longer ask the questions whether economics is a science or an art. Science is a systemized body of knowledge. Just as physics and chemistry are sciences, economics is also science. We observe fact, conduct experiments, and make a generalization in physics and chemistry after testing the result. The same scientific method are followed in economics also. Economics, like all other sciences, studies the relationship between cause and effects. Science may be broadly divided into physical science and social science. Physics and chemistry are examples of physical science. Economics is a social science. It studies about a particular aspect of human behavior, and human behavior is full of complexity. It is not easy to study it. So economic science is not as precise and exact as the physical science. But economics has a greater right to be considered as a science than other social science like politics or history, because in economics we make use of money as a measuring rod of utilities. It is true that it is only a rough measures, but still it enables us to give concrete shape to the laws of economics. In short, science is a systemized body of knowledge. All the relevant facts are collected, classified and analyzed with its scale of measurement. Using this fact, science develops the correlationship between cause and effect. Scientific laws derived or tested through experiments and future prediction are made. These laws are universally applicable and accepted. Economists like Robbins, Jordan, and Robertson argue that economics is a science like physics, chemistry, etc. Since it has several similar characteristics, economics examines the relationship between the cause and the effects of the problem. Hence, it is rightly considered as both an art and a science. In fact, art and science are complementary to each other. Sometimes what we say in economics may not come true in real life, but this is the case many other sciences. For example, we joke about weather forecast. The weather report in the newspaper may say that there will be a heavy rainfall on a particular day, but there might not be any rain at all on that particular day. On account of that, we cannot say that meteorology is not a science. Similarly, if some economic laws do not come true, we cannot say the economics is not a science. Next topic, economics, positive science and a normative science. There is no need for us to ask the questions whether economics is a positive science or a normative science. Instead of that, we may look at it as a subject that has two parts, namely positive economics and normative economics. As Asimopoulos puts it, positive science can be defined as a body of systemized knowledge concerning what it is, while normative economics tries to develop criteria for what ought to be. A positive science also means a pure science. It explains the why and wherefore of things. In other words, a positive science is based on the sequence of cause and effect relationship. It is neutral as between ends and goals. In short, positive science deals with what it is, means it analyzes a problem on the basis of fact and examine its cause. For example, at the time of a price increases, its causes are analyzed. Next paragraph. By norm, we mean a criterion or standard to be observed. Normative economics therefore involves value judgments and moral statements, such as whether a particular economic act is good to the individual and the society or not. Thus, it passes value judgments based on ethical consideration. Alfred Marshall and A.C. Bigelow argued that economics is a normative science because it is concerned with human welfare as its norm. It is not neutral between ends. It says what is right and what is wrong. In short. On the other hand, normative science responds to the questions like what ought to be. Here the conclusion and the results are not based on fact, but on different consideration belonging to the social, cultural, political, religious realms. They are basically subject in nature. Positive economics is mainly concerned with the descriptions of economic events and it tries to formulate theories to explain them. But in normative economics, we give more importance to ethical judgments. Normative economics is concerned with the ideal rather than the actual situation. In short, positive science is concerned with how and why. Normative science with what ought to be. The distinction between the two can be explained. An increase in the rate of interest under positive science would be looked into as to why and how can it be reduced. Whereas under normative science, it would be seen also as to whether it is good or bad. Three statements about each type are given below. Positive economics. An increase in money supply implies price rise in an economy. As the irrigation facilities and the applications of chemical fertilizer expand, the productions of goods grains increase. An increase in the birth rate and a decrease in the death rate reflects the rate of growth of population. Normative economics. Inflation is better than deflation. More production of luxury goods is not good for a less developed country or underdeveloped countries like in India. Inequalities in the distributions of wealth and income should be reduced. Next concept, basic concept in economics. Like other sciences, economics also has concept to explain its theories. A complete and clear grasp of their meaning is necessary when the theories associated with them are studied. Only a preliminary acquaintance is never attempted here. Goods and services. Both goods and services satisfy human wants. In economics, the term goods implies the term services also unless specified otherwise. Goods also called product, commodities, things, etc. There are some important characteristics of goods. First one, as material things, they are tangible. Second, have physical dimension, that is, their physical attributes can be preserved over time. Third, exist independently of their owners. Fourth, are owned by some person. 5, are transferable. 6, have value in exchange. Kinds of goods. First, free and economic goods. Free goods are available in nature and in abundance. Man does not need to incur any expenditure to own or use them. For example, air and sunshine. Water also an examples in the past, but at the present it has exchange value. So it is not a free good. Milton Friedman, a Nobel laureate, popularizes a saying, "This is no such things as a free lunch." He means that it is impossible to get something for nothing. Even those offered free always cost person or the society as a whole. Its cost, however, is hidden. It is an externality. Someone can benefit from an externality or from a public good, but someone else has to pay the cost of producing these benefits. In economics, it refers to opportunity cost. On the other hand, economic goods are not available in plenty. They are scarce in supply. man has to spend money to own or use them. Next, consumer goods and capital goods. Consumer goods directly satisfy human wants, TV, furniture, automobiles, etc. Capital goods, also called producer goods, don't directly satisfy the consumer wants. They help to produce consumer goods. For example, machines do not directly satisfy the consumers, but in factories, the manufacturers need them. Next, perishable goods and durable goods. Perishable goods are short-lived. The lifespan is limited. For example, fish, fruits, flowers, etc. do not have a long time. Durable goods and semi-durable goods have a little longer lifetime than the perishable goods. For examples, a table, a chair, etc. Next, kinds of services. Along with goods, services are produced and consumed. They are generally possesses the following. Intangible. Intangible things are not physical object but exist in connection to other things. For example, brand image, goodwill, etc. But today, the intangible things are converted and stored in tangible items such as recording a music piece into a pen drive. They are marketed as a good. Heterogeneous. Services vary across regions or cultural backgrounds. They can be grouped on the basis of quality standards. A single type services yield multiple experiences. In economic theory and econometrics, the term heterogeneity refers to differences across the units being studied. For example, a macroeconomic model in which consumers are assumed to differ from one another is said to have heterogeneous agent. For example, music, consulting physician, etc. Next, inseparable from their makers. Services are inextricably or inseparately connected to their makers. For example, labor and laborers are inseparable. Next, perishable. Services cannot be stored as inventories like assets. For example, it is useless to possess a ticket for a cricket match. Once the match is over, it cannot be stored and it has no value in exchange. That's all for today. We will continue in the next class. Finish the assignment by clicking the link below.